Captain Forrest here, and in today's video I'm going to be going over both these combatants to see who would win more often not in a cross-verse situation, Superman versus Silver Surfer. Now if you guys are new to my channel, please leave a like, comment down below and of course subscribe for further content. Also huge shouts to HQ Squad, they've been a massive help in my videos, and also shouts to Korin. He was also a help with the Silver Surfer section as well. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get right into meat and potatoes of things. I'm going to talk about Superman, and I'm going to move on, talk about Surfer, and then I'm going to give my final thoughts near the end of the video. So for starters, Superman himself has fought Darkseid. This very same Darkseid wielded the anti-life equation in his possession during the fight, and Superman took attacks from him, and Superman also boxed up this Darkseid, which is very impressive. Superman was strong enough to hold up the heavens for a long period of time. Superman was able to endure and take the combined force of full power Apex Lex, Brainiac, Leviathan, and UV Sinestro's attack. When Lex Luthor hijacked and took control of Superman's body, he notes that every step he took, it was shaking realms inside the God Sphere. In Dark Knight's death metal, while Superman was weakened, he casually one-shots a version of Batman who had Darkseid's powers. But what makes this feat even more impressive is that it was heavily implied that Superman would need to be weakened for the anti-life equation to take over his body in the first place. So these feats are very impressive, easily creation level feats. There are some more creation level feats for Superman. So Superman has fought against Lex Luthor, who's stated to be stronger than the entire Dark Army combined, which is very impressive. The World Forger also was able to trap Superman in a galaxy that was stated there was just enough sunlight to basically maintain Superman's normal level of power. But then we literally see Batman move these suns away, which severely weakened Superman. But then we literally see Superman get back to his normal level once he stopped holding back. Then he started absorbing more suns, and then he was literally able to just one-shot the World Forger. So that's also another impressive feat. This occurred in the Justice League 2018 run as well. So that's also a legit feat for Superman too. We are all aware, well, I hope we're all aware, there's some people that don't understand that Rebirth Superman is also a culmination of like post-crisis and New 52. So there's feats that happen in New 52 as well, and in post-crisis they also have creation level stuff in there too. So I'm going to mention some things. Now we've seen in New 52 where Superman was able to confront the Phantom Stranger, and Superman demonstrates he's able to physically damage Phantom Stranger. Both New 52, Phantom Stranger and Spectre do battle with each other, and if they had basically continued to fight each other, they would have destroyed creation. Superman was able to fight these angel creatures that kill fifth dimensional imps. Superman then devises a plan to open a portal to the fifth dimension so that they can attack fifth dimensional beings all at once. He then uses himself as a power connector to use the device and takes the energy that gets rid of them, which is also another creation level feat for Superman. And also at the start of Rebirth, Superman was also able to face off against like Doomsday. Superman stops holding back against Doomsday and then literally beats the breakout of Doomsday, literally beats him up very badly. And this very same Doomsday is literally capable of breaking out of the Phantom Zone and is also able to beat up Darkseid too. Now this is a controversial one, but after doing some more research and going over it with my team, I'm pretty confident, and it's pretty safe to say with all the feats that Superman has shown, that Superman one-shotting Barbatos is a valid feat, because even though Barbatos was chained up, we can't use that to assume that his power was weaker, and even though he was defenseless, that wouldn't inherently mean his durability would be worse, because if he has feats like scaling to the World Forger, then his durability would at least need to be in that same ballpark. And if Superman himself wasn't in the same ballpark, then he wouldn't have been able to basically affect Barbatos, let alone knock him out. So this feat would further support Superman scaling to the World Forger regardless. And in fact, considering that Superman has already shown creation level feats against characters who are vastly above Barbatos, just makes the feat even more sound. So that's another thing I wanted to throw in too. And lastly, to wrap up AP, Superman's heat vision was able to clash with Great Darkness and Darkseid and his Omega beams. So that's another solid creation level feat right there. Alright, so that's going to round up Superman's AP. I'm going to go ahead and move over to speed, and I'm going to talk about some more about Superman, talk about some hacks, resistances, etc, etc. Superman kept pace with Jay Garrick and Wally West while they were chasing the Reverse Flash to the past. Wally West himself has legit ran to the 853rd century. We've also seen Superman outpace reality blitzing missiles that were sterilizing the continuum, and Superman can move inside the source where there is no direction. So Superman has his heat vision, it can negate intangibility, and it affects people on a molecular level. Superman also can freeze people with his ice breath, and can also create a dust storm with his breath. Superman has enhanced senses and hearing. He is able to hear someone in a crowd of 11 million via hearing their heartbeat. He can also tell what materials you are wearing based off the noise and clothing that it makes, such as knowing 10 was wearing Kevlar. Superman can smell your tears. He also has microscopic vision, being able to see subatomic particles. Superman can also see spirits, so he has spiritual awareness. So that's going to round up those feats for Superman. I'm going to go ahead and move on to his resistances. Superman is able to survive in a cosmic storm which affects you on an atomic level. Superman has survived attacks from Blackrock, who is piercing him on a subatomic level. Superman is able to survive and push on after taking a magical arrow to his soul, which was inducing fear and hopelessness, and Superman was able to pull through. Superman is able to resist Eclipso's mental influence. Superman is protected by invulnerable aura. Superman's willpower helps him resist and adapt to people and hexes. He can push himself with his willpower, and Superman also uses his willpower to power up a Green Lantern beam by 20%. Superman also has his Type 3 and conceptual Type 8 immortality. He can heal from physical injuries, and Superman's story will not allow Superman to die or be in very rough situations. He will continue to come back, and as long as hope exists, Superman will come back. So to add on for more additional resistances, so concepts like weight, distance, temperature, and space-time have largely lost meaning to Superman. Superman literally has resistance against like BFR. Not even Lex Luthor can get rid of him, so things like that won't work on him anymore. Superman and Batman have both shown to resist plot hacks from Mr. Nobody, so both these combatants have really good plot hacks resistances. Superman was never fooled by the illusion that Pariah had put him in the dream worlds, and he's literally able to absorb his own world. Dr. Manhattan states that no matter how many times Superman's existence is attacked or changed, he will survive, and Superman has shown before that he is completely fine against like existence erasure. He has good resistances against conceptual erasure, just due to how fundamental Superman is. But anyway, that's going to round up Superman. I'm going to go ahead and move on, talk about the Silver Surfer himself. The Silver Surfer is one of the noblest and most tormented cosmic entities in the universe. The Silver Surfer treasures freedom above all else, has often sacrificed his liberty for the greater good. He was born under the name Norrin Radd on the planet Zenla, part of a extremely long-lived and technologically advanced humanoid race which had created a worldwide utopia devoid of crime, disease, hunger, poverty, and want of any kind. To save their planet's peaceful existence at the hands of Galactus, the devourer of worlds, Norrin Radd was forced to agree to Galactus's conditions that Norrin will serve him for all of eternity. Given a fraction of the power cosmic, Norrin was transformed into the Silver Surfer, the herald of Galactus. I am not a god, I have never created life, but I have lived, that is enough, so I will fight to preserve the same opportunity to love, to dream, to soar among the stars for all those yet to come. Many lives will be lost in the battle ahead, but their efforts will ensure that some remain to remember their deeds, and like the gods, they will truly live forever, even after they are gone. When it comes to attack power, the Silver Surfer is certainly not lacking. We've seen Surfer fight the God of Thunder on relatively even terms, though Surfer in this fight was clearly mostly just trying to talk to Thor, whilst Thor wasn't having any of it. The Silver Badass fought against Hulk and the Warbound. A weakened Surfer, under the control of a disc that removes his own will, dominates the fight. He's able to knock Hulk back and display impressive combat skill against the Warbound. He only got beaten down once the disc broke and he lost the need to fight. Even then, he survives Hulk's rage. Surfer suffered no lasting damage. They have a little friendly chat after the fight, when Surfer even offers to take Hulk home. Heck, this dude is capable of activating a device that was keyed to Thanos' level of power. While in an extremely weakened state, Surfer is a peaceful character in general who prefers to avoid murdering randos. Surfer explicitly notes of collateral damage and the fact his hits may endanger human lives, and doesn't use an attack despite it being a fatal situation for him. Iron Man notes that Surfer likely held back his blows, also notes that he was staggered by Iron Man's hit yet unaffected. Surfer willingly took multiple hits from Dr. Minerva and Captain Atlas before getting sick of it at the point he one-shot Atlas. Silver Surfer manages to hold off the Griever at the end of All Things for 16 minutes and 4 seconds. The Griever praised Surfer, stating that there aren't many in the universe who could replicate such a feat. Griever states herself, 16 minutes and 4 seconds. That's how long you alone held off the end of the universe. You've earned my respect, Norinrad. There are precious few who could have achieved such a feat. The Griever at the end of All Things, also referred to as simply Griever, is an abstract entity who embodies the very concept of entropy and the end of all existence and possibility. She is the inevitable end of all that is and ever will be. Griever was stated to be the greatest threat the Marvel multiverse has ever faced, which would place her above the Chaos King and the Beyonders. So that's some pretty good, impressive stuff for Surfer. That's going to round up his AP and explain in more detail where he would range in my analysis. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the Silver Surfer's speed. For starters, Surfer was able to casually fly through higher layers of reality, dimensions, all the way to the 15,000th dimension. Flying through higher dimensions, 5D or higher, would be immeasurable speed. So here Surfer would have at least 14,995 layers of immeasurable speed. Bonus points for Surfer, looking like he took no effect to do this feat. Very impressive speed feat for Surfer. However, there is more. Surfer is regarded as the best hope of all heroes in the Infinity Gauntlet story, being able to move fast enough to exploit Thanos, dropping his guard for a moment. It's even implied that Thanos needed to use the gauntlet to dodge Surfer. Silver Surfer has time traveled on many occasions, the best of which is in Silver Surfer 2014, where Silver Surfer outran the Death of Eternity. This is not just Surfer traveling back in time, but Surfer does this while also flying outside of eternity. This would mean that the level of irrelevant speed that you would need to travel across and outside of eternity would literally have to be measurably faster than that. Further supporting this is that Surfer was ending in a stream outside of eternity and could see the new doom possessed eternity. 2015's Secret Wars was an expansive event, quite literally reaching every corner of eternity. With the collapse of the multiverse, it was nearly impossible to escape this seminal Marvel event. As you can see, Surfer is pretty freaking fast, to say the least. But I'm sure you're wondering, what does Silver Surfer have to bring to the table in terms of hexes? The Silver Surfer has phenomenal sensory capabilities and cosmic awareness. He can sense the emotions in beings such as love, greed, fear, etc. So he doesn't only have to sense energy to know where you are. Surfer can sense the weakness in a person using his cosmic awareness. His cosmic awareness allows him to comprehend rules of the universe others would find incomprehensible. We've seen Surfer sense a strange new energy type and then near immediately determines what it is and where it's located. Surfer is capable of tracking a grain of space dust through the endless cosmos. His cosmic senses can detect life forms and determine their abilities as well. Heck, thanks to his cosmic senses, Surfer had ample time to know and learn everything the Earth has to offer. Everything. The Silver Surfer is capable of also destroying souls. Surfer can reflect a blast from all of the Infinity Stones at once. In this comic, the Elders were trying to kill Galactus by using the Infinity Stones, and Surfer was able to reflect this blast intended to kill Galactus. This means that Silver Surfer is capable of utilizing an impressive ability known as Attack Reflection. Attack Reflection is the explicit ability to turn one's opponent's attack against them. This is a rather powerful ability, being able to perform offense and defense simultaneously by effectively turning one's efforts against them. How it works usually depends on the user. Some may absorb the attack and then send it back. Others may manipulate the vectors in order to send the attack back from where it came from. Powerful users of telekinesis are usually able to reflect many different kinds of attacks aimed against them. This is not to be confused with one using another power against them, as that is simply trickery rather than the ability tailored to reflecting incoming attacks. Moving on, we've seen Surfer fight a bannerless Hulk and showcase very impressive energy absorption tactics. Surfer was mostly trying to talk to Hulk and was trying to talk him down, and at that point nearly kills Hulk by draining his gamma radiation, which is pretty impressive. We've seen Surfer fight a clone who was a near equal, and this very same Surfer eventually defeats the clone by absorbing all of its energies into himself. We've seen this silver skinned badass defeat Crossicus, whose natural ability is to absorb energy. Crossicus absorbed the uni power and was significantly amped. The Surfer defeats him by overloading him with the power cosmic. But if you think all of this is impressive, man, you haven't seen anything yet. This dude purged the idea of Zenla across eternity. Yep, he erased the culture of an entire planet on a conceptual level. Surfer is also capable of stealing your speed by nullifying the kinetic energy of your molecules to zero, removing vibrations and sound itself. Surfer has showcased fate manipulation as well as resistance to fate manipulation itself. In Silver Surfer Volume 7, Issue 11, Surfer was stuck in an infinite time loop from which he could not escape. Then the Never Queen contacted him and said this: "Surfer, if only you could hear me. There is a way out of this endless path. Exert your free will. Grab hold of all you accept as real, and then reach beyond. Be the one who turns this page in the story of your life. A choice has been made, and with it, new pathways have been revealed, with new tolls that must be paid. You know what must be done, Noringrad. Cast aside all else, create a new possibility, will it into being." Okay, so that's going to round up the Silver Surfer. I'm going to go ahead and move on, talk about who I think wins more often than not in a crossverse situation. So if we use like the safe scaling, if we use low end and mid end feats for DC and Marvel, then Superman and Surfer are pretty relative. The AP can go either way, speed can go either way. Now, I want to say this as well. I think people really do downplay Silver Surfer in terms of speed. He's actually very fast. Not a lot of characters scale to his really good irrelevant speed feats, so I don't really see him getting blitzed in this situation. I think they're pretty relative. If we include like better scaling, so obviously the upgrades for DC, you know, the higher like layers and just the highest stuff, like I'm talking about the really good scaling, then Superman would have higher AP than Surfer, but the other stats would pretty much remain the same. I really don't see a speed blitz in any regard, in my opinion. Moving on to this fight, if we're going off like the first avenue, them being very relative, this fight is very difficult to determine who would actually win. It could go either way. It could literally, technically, you could argue a stalemate, or you could argue some, you know, conceptual fundamental stuff, Hope amps, or, you know, Surfer, just how, you know, the power of Cosmic and how he works. But in terms of like hexes, they both have nasty hexes. Surfer has existence erasure, he has his attack reflection, he has transmutation, he has a plethora of lists of things he can do with his surfboard and in general things he can do. But however, I really don't think Surfer's hexes are going to really be any useful to him in this fight, because Superman himself has way too many resistances. He would resist pretty much everything Surfer throws at him in terms of hexes, and likewise with Surfer, Surfer would resist a lot of Superman's hexes too. Depending on how you go about it, they both have crazy stamina. I don't see them tiring at all. But if you want to like argue, you know, maybe layers or maybe higher AP and stuff, it's up to interpretation. This fight literally could just be a stalemate. If we're going off just like only high outer and boundless scaling, then it's honestly, you could say it's a stalemate, honestly, because they're just it's so close. Or you could honestly argue either side taking victory. So with that option, I leave that up to you. I don't think there's necessarily a right or wrong answer in this type of situation, because they're so relative. If we're only using the outer versal or the high outer versal or the boundless cap, you know, or boundless plus, they're both scaled very high into those tiers. They have the caliber and the scaling to do so. So it honestly could be a stalemate due to just how relative they are. Now if we look at things going more higher into the extraversal ballpark, of course, if we're looking into like the higher stuff and what DC has shown as well, they both have extraversal scaling. Surfer has a lot of transcendences into extraversal. However, I think Superman has more transcendences. In my opinion, I think he's vastly above like 1S, just due to the arguments that are constructed through DC, especially if you use the boom tube arguments. It's just literally no amount of like 1S transcendences can get past the source wall. So right there and there, even if you had like infinite layers of, you know, 1S transcendences, you will never reach past the source wall, and we already have characters scaling to the source wall. Superman, you can even argue him above the source wall, above creation, just general creation level stuff. So I think like Superman scales a little higher in terms of AP if it came down to extraversal based off what I've seen, but I do think Surfer definitely can achieve extraversal with a lot of transcendences. But if we look at things from that regard, of course, in the second option, I would lean more so with Superman. I think Superman edges out in the AP department. He has the AP necessary to incapacitate Silver Surfer. I don't think Surfer will be able to get killed by Superman just due to how Surfer is. He has type 8 immortality, he has regen, he can reform himself, but Surfer can get incapacitated, it has been shown. So more often than not, I just think Superman would just literally incapacitate Surfer with a few punches, but I don't think it's a stomp per se. I think this fight would go like at least mid plus, a lot of with a moderate difficulty in my opinion, because since they're relative in speed, Surfer's going to try everything he can to use all types of hacks on Superman. He's going to try and use his surfboard, he's going to try and use his long gallery list of hacks he can use. Even if he uses like the existence erasure stuff, that's not going to work. The power of hope, the concept of Superman, just how it is, far too fundamental. It already has resistances, and Superman's just way too important. I don't think those hacks are going to do anything to Superman. And the same thing with Superman 2. Despite Superman having the, you know, the AP edge, and more so with the hacks too, Surfer would be able to resist a lot of Superman's stuff too. It's just when it comes down to the AP portion, like the fisticuffs, Surfer's definitely going to get rattled. So if we look at things from that regard, I would have to give victory to Superman. I just think he edges out more in AP in comparison to Silver Surfer. But if we use like the lower end feats or lower end scaling, like the option that I did in the first round, it's very close. You could go either way. You could, if you said Surfer beat Superman in the round where they're pretty relative, that's fine with me. If you said Superman beats Surfer in that round, fine with me too. I think they're very relative. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. But yes, it's been real. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.